need to fix this thing. I think I've been doing a lot of uh, self discovery lately, um, finding out who I am and what I want. Um, Most of my life, I felt like I didn't really fit in anywhere. Um, there was a time where I felt like trapped, like in my body. You know what I mean? I don't know if anyone can relate, but if you felt like you wanted to be freer or you were supposed to be something else or um, you feel severely misunderstood, so the way that you are, like inside, isn't necessarily what people are interpreting you as. Um, so you kind of feel like you're trapped inside of your own body. Um, I tell people all of the time there's a difference between um, your spirit and your body and your mind. And um, sometimes being misunderstood or devalued or something like that could make you kind of rethink everything around you. Then when you start thinking about um, the science of it all, like how the sun rises every day and the sun sets every day and the grass grows and um, the wind blows and the world just keeps spinning around and around and around right on time every time. And the perfection in that, you kind of want you want your life to be that way. Um, you want your life to be as cut as dry as one, two, three, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Um, if I have all of my ducks in a row, this is the outcome to this specific situation. So that's how most of us want our life to be. But a lot of times when we're co-creating with other people, it tends to not turn out that way at all. I always say when I am orchestrating my own life, like when I have these goals where I want to, I don't know, something like buy a house or buy a car or get a job or whatever, go paddle boating, or maybe I want to see fireworks on 4th of July. It's as simple as me saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and then it gets done because I have like this relentless determination to accomplish things. That's me. I'm just a very ambitious person. And that part of my life seems to be easy when I'm not co-creating or cohabitating or trying to include other people in my life, because when you include other people, you kind of got to factor in what they want as well. And so that's been difficult for me my entire life, to where I've always behaved, you know, the kindest way I can, and be kind of respectful of people and understanding of what they need. But getting that type of same behavior is very, very difficult in return. That is like one of the hardest things I've ever experienced, just trying to get people to understand who I am and how I always want good for them. And sometimes we pick people, I mean, you've done it too, pick people that aren't necessarily the best for us. Um, so when I've been dealing with people most of my life, I feel like I've always made poor choices in the people around me. And my mother used to always say this when I was a kid. She would always say, you know, you bring home the strangest friends. Like you have like the weirdest people around you. And so um, as I've gotten older, I'm 39 now, and I'm looking around me, right, to the people I've known for many, many years, and the new people that are coming into my life. I met a young lady the other day who has went through the exact same experience with her son's father as I did with my son's father. You know, my son is one, and her son is a couple of months. He may be like 4 months. So her and I have been building a friendship here. Usually when I meet people face to face, it's a better friendship than it would be if I met someone online. And I think I've said this before to you, um, that meeting people online is probably one of my biggest like downfalls, because online, people have portrayed themselves to be who they want me to believe they are. And so from the beginning, I'm already being pumped a lie and being manipulated. So by the time we try to meet offline and build like this friendship with each other, it's already started off wrong. And I'm not here to say that when you start things off wrong, they can't be fixed. But usually when you're dealing with people, the reason why a person is pretending to be something that they're not from the beginning is because of some personal deep-rooted issues that they have to deal with that have nothing to do with you. And 9 times out of 10, that situation will end up going the wrong way because of that, not necessarily because of you. So when I'm meeting people now, I see something very different than I used to. Like the situation with my son has changed me drastically. The type of person that I am now is very different. Like I changed a lot. The old Soncerae is kind of gone. Like I'm not as nice as I was. I'm not as gullible as I was. I'm not as like, quick and eager to give forgiveness and friendship and love to people, because that's how I was. I was very like trying to be cordial and nice and cool and just who I am. And I realized that you can't always be yourself for everyone, because not everyone is going to be able to appreciate that part of you. And usually when I meet people now, the way that they perceive me off break is interesting to me, um, because what they see is God, right? Now, that's not me saying I'm God. I'm an extension of God, of course. I believe that. I believe we all are an extension of God. Um, I believe that as I've changed over the years, I am unable to have the same friendships. I'm unable to take certain people with me. But when people meet me now, their perception of me is very, very interesting. It's like they see the beauty of my soul. And what's interesting about that is that I always wanted people to see that most of my life. Um, in like 2016, right, I was a little frustrated. Like I remember when I first thought about committing suicide, right? Um, I remember why I was thinking it. Um, because I was extremely frustrated with like me being myself, right? And me showing people who I am, and everyone still having this stereotype attached to me. And it was like, I can't escape from this preconceived notion or perception that people have of me because I'm black, or I'm female, or I'm a YouTuber, or I used to date this person or that person, or um, I have a checkered past, or something like that. Like, you know how we all grow, right? And we change with time because we learn valuable lessons and we improve who we are. We become better versions of ourselves, if we're smart. And we look back at the things that we used to do when we were kids, and we would never think to do these things. We just handle things very differently. We realize that a lot of ways that we used to handle things might have been a waste of time or a mistake, or you could have, handled it better, and now you realize that. So as you get older, you get different. So when you show the world that you're different, what I've noticed is some people cling on to who you used to be and they hold on tight to that. And then you got people who appreciate the growth and they see themselves in you. And that's the only time a healthy, like, friendship or respect for each other can come out of it. Great minds think alike. And when you have, like, this intellect or this amazing personality, or just you're a specific type of person, usually the only time you can get people to appreciate who you are is if you and this person behave similar. Or maybe you've had a similar experience with each other. Or maybe, you can relate in some type of way. What I've noticed about a lot of people is that a lot of people don't respect diversity online. Okay, you would think that online diversity would be one of those things we would appreciate, because I remember when I first got on the internet, diversity was something that I appreciated and enjoyed, because you could talk to someone clear across the other side of the country. I used to talk to people in the military. They would be in Iraq, and it would just be like, wow, I'm sitting here talking to someone who's across the world. And we would be so different from each other. We would be different races and speak different languages, and this would be appealing to me. Now, what people dislike is differences. They don't like being different from each other. People want to agree on everything, and they want to gang up together, and they feel validated if a group of them agree on this one person or this one thing or this one experience. Whether it's based around hatred or ugliness or violence or cruelty, it doesn't matter. It could be based around manipulation or a lie that they're telling themselves or insecurities or whatever, something negative. But because they agree, that's more than enough for them to continue to, support each other. Meanwhile, then now this is just online now. Meanwhile, I'm going around here and I'm meeting regular everyday people where I live now. I live in the Bay now, right? And because I meet so many people a day, right? This is a different kind of place because, number one, I mean, the way that this place is built, it's like hard to see the same person over and over and over again unless you're purposely seeing them. Because it's that many people here to where even if you go in a grocery store, you might see the same cashier 3 times, but then that next month, you got a whole nother set of cashiers. It's like that. It's like in this area, it's so many people and so many different things happening and so many changes being made. It's rare that you run into the same people. And then when I'm doing like something like Uber, I'm doing rideshare. So of course, I do rideshare at the same time every day, right? And people always ask me, do I see the same person over and over again? Do I pick up the same person? And the answer is no. Like, it's rare I pick up the same person twice in 1 week. Like, that is so rare, even though I drive the same time every day. I don't have regulars. And so that's how big this place is. It's a euphoria of diversity and changes and transitions and different things every day. And so sometimes I'll have these days, right, where everyone that I that gets into my car, right, or everyone that I meet in that day are somehow linked together in a relationship, because it'll be something as simple as I'm going to tell you what happened to me yesterday and why and how I met God. And we're gonna go through this, and hopefully you'll be able to understand this. So stick with me, bear with me. So yesterday morning I got up. This wasn't even yesterday. This was Saturday. And I meant to do this video yesterday. That's why it's called I Met God Yesterday, because I was supposed to do this video yesterday, but I didn't have time. Okay. So, um, if you can see behind me, I'm actually in my neighborhood. You can't really see behind me. I don't want you guys to see behind me because I don't kind of don't want to see where you guys see where I live. But it's like a beautiful house behind me. I know you see it. Like it's like a beautiful house. That's like all the houses in my neighborhood. It's like beautiful. Anyway, so um, not yesterday, but Saturday, I got up early. I always get up early. I get up at 3, and I do prayer and meditation. And um, I drive about 20 to 30 minutes away, and I start driving 20 or 30 minutes away from where I live because where I live is like almost off to the side. It's like the way that it's built, it's like first of all, it's really uppity. So it's kind of like up people want to live separate. Okay, so I have to go through this like maze to get out of my uppity neighborhood. Okay, so it takes me a good 20 minutes to get away from my uppity neighborhood. And usually, uppity people don't ride Uber. Now, I'm just saying usually, because yeah, they'll do airport runs. They'll leave their Benz or their Lexus or their Aston Martin or Bentley or Tesla at the club and then get an Uber. And then by the time I get to them, I'm going to take them to go pick up their car. It'll be something like that. But I'll go into a completely different part of the city and it'll be people who ride Uber every day. It's their thing. They ride Uber to work, they ride Uber back from work, they ride Uber everywhere because Uber's their car, right? So when I drive 20 minutes away from where I live, that's what it is. It's like, so on my way to this, other city, I ended up picking up someone who, when she got in the car, it was like, I knew this was about to be an interesting like experience. She ended up taking me 45 minutes, no, 38 minutes away. 38 minutes away. So we had a good little conversation about people and experiences and, you know, just it was a feel good moment. And when I usually drive 38 minutes away or even more than 30 minutes, I usually around that area. And so I was picking up people and most of the people were quiet that morning. And so suddenly my head started hurting. Like my head, you guys know I have like these horrible migraines. Okay, my migraines are terrible. All right, um, like my migraines. Oh my god, when I feel it coming on a little bit, I take some medicine immediately because if I wait a solid 5 to 10 minutes, it's over. My head is gonna be hurting. So my head started hurting, and I couldn't find what I needed to take for my head, and plus I hadn't eaten. Finished doing a pool, Uber pool. I had to finish doing the Uber pool, and by the time I finished doing Uber pool, I was so hungry. It's in the morning. I was so hungry. My head was hurting. I just wanted to go get some food. So I go to the Chick-fil-A. I get me a chicken biscuit with some cheese on it. I love it. It's good. I get a fruit cup and some orange juice. And I sit down and I cut on YouTube and just proceed to have a 45-minute, like, just relax, okay? Because I don't want to quit driving. I do have to still end up driving, okay? So I'm laying down, I'm put my seat back, I take my medicine, and I'm just waiting for my head to stop hurting because I know it's going to stop hurting. Across the street from the Chick-fil-A was a hotel. It was called Lake Spur Landing. And if you know anything about Lake Spur Landings, they're like really uppity extended stay hotels that look like homes, right? Your apartment looks like, I mean, your hotel room looks like your home, okay? So because Chick-fil-A and this place share a parking lot, um, I'm in that parking lot. I can rest there. I mean, I'm so far from home. I need to rest anyway. By this time, I've been driving people around, so I'm no longer 38 minutes away from home. I'm more like an hour or so, something like that. And I keep seeing this guy. This guy, he's cleaning a BMW. And I'm thinking to myself, why is he cleaning this BMW in a hotel parking lot? And I'm thinking, this just has to be his BMW. So I see him, I head, I keep going. I see him again, because he's like diagonal. So I close my eyes, I'm falling asleep. I hear a knock on the window. It's the guy. And the second I roll the window, I crack the window down. First of all, he's cleaning my window. He's cleaning the mirror on this is the passenger side of the car he's on. And he's cleaning off the window and the mirror. And I'm thinking, why are you cleaning my car? Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to clean. Like, what are you doing? And he just said, you are the most brightest, beautifulest person I've seen in a long time. He was like, you're literally like sunshine. You're like a breath of fresh air. I mean, he's just flinging out all of these like compliments. But what he's doing them in alphabetical order. Okay? He's saying the the compliments in alphabetical order. It's like for every A word, he knows every compliment that starts with an A, basically. Then he listed every compliment that started with a B, and he was just at it, and I'm just staring at him like, the hell is wrong with this guy, right? And I'm just like, thank you, thank you. He said, are you going to the fair today? And I'm like, what fair? I don't know where I am. This is not, I don't know what fair you're talking about. He was like, every week people have a fair here, and this kind, not every week, but because it's the 4th of July, every month they have something at this like these fairgrounds that's close by. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to the fair. I don't know anything about the fair. And he says, well, I would like to take you to the library. And I'm thinking, why do you want to take me to the library? Like, what? I mean, why? And he says, well, number one, I'm a nerd, and I'm a little intimidated and afraid to ask you out because I'm scared you're going to say no. So I don't really know what else to do but offer to take you to the library. And so I was like, what an interesting like thing to ask me, because number one, that's like perfection right there. Like any could walk up to me, right, and ask me out, and he'd get me if he said, I'd like to take you to the library or the bookstore. Like, that wins me over immediately. Most men don't walk up to me and say that. Most men don't want to take me on a date to the bookstore or the library. No, men don't want to do that. So it sets men apart when number one, they start talking to me and they realize my intellect, and they try to take me someplace that may run parallel to what my intellect is, or they themselves are intellectual, so the place that they're trying to take me to off break has something to do with that. So if a guy was to ask me, you know I want, do you want to go to the library, or do you want to go to the bookstore or the museum, or something like that, that would immediately have me like, sure. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at him like, you want to take me to the library? He's like, yeah, we should go to the library and we could, do whatever, right? So immediately, something says in my mind, Soncerae. Now, I, in the past, I've been very bad with picking men. You guys know this. You guys have seen me, okay? I have been very bad at picking guys. So immediately in my mind, when that red flag comes in, He said, Soncerae, something is not right with this. Something is wrong. I said, why are you out here? Do you work here, or why are you staying at the hotel? And he says, no, I'm waiting for my boss. I said, your boss is in the hotel? He says, yeah, I work at the hotel. I said, you just said you didn't work at the hotel. Now you're telling me that you work at the hotel. Like you have to, like you have to make up your mind. And I said, well, what are you waiting for her for? Where are you guys going? He changed the subject, went back to, complimenting me in alphabetical order. And I asked him, I said, well, if this isn't your job, where else do you work? He, he said, well, I'm currently unemployed and I might start working at Burger King around the corner, or I might work at this Wendy's up the street. And I'm thinking, okay. He was like, oh, I just want to tell you that the reason why I'm complimenting you like this is because I'm reading the dictionary. Just read the dictionary and I know all these words. I said, now this makes sense, right? Now it's starting to come to me. This isn't kismet that this man sat down, came to my car and said, you're this, you're that. And he said it in alphabetical order. And I'm supposed to be like, oh my God. And he's talking about God and the universe and blah, blah, blah. There's something else going on. So start asking more questions. So I just started asking the guy questions. His name ended up being Quentin. He was really, 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 really sweet guy. He was kind of overcompensating for something. He showed me his muscles. He was just overcompensating. So this is when I knew something was wrong. Because number one, he was over complimenting me. He was showing me his muscles, and he was like over catering and accommodating, right? Overly. He basically cleaned out my car, took all of the stuff out my car, took it to the trash can. Then when he got to the trash can, it was a bush of flowers right there. He took the flower and gave it to me and just was like, you're so beautiful, God wants you to have this. God knows who you are, you're such a beautiful person. And I'm thinking, what's going on with this guy, and how much of what he's saying can I take as a genuine thing he's saying versus him just trying to put the wool over my eyes? So anyway, he gives me his phone number on the back of this card. And I said, well, why didn't you just text me? I have a phone. He was like, no, I'm iPhone today, so I just want to write your phone number down. And I started looking at like his hands. His hands were dirty. He hadn't no line up. His facial hair was like dirty, and it needed to be combed. His clothes were raggedy. And I was thinking to myself, this would be another man that I would end up getting in a situation with where he would end up becoming a project, right? Do I want to deal with this? And immediately everything is like, no, 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 no. And it's not me per se. It's more of, I like nice people. I'm nice to those who are nice to me. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go on this date with this guy because he's a nice person, right? But that hasn't helped me in the past. So here I am getting like this urge, this gut feeling that I need to stop talking to this guy and he's not somebody. It's just red flags, right? Any other time I wouldn't be listening to that whisper. I wouldn't listen. I'd just be like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's yeah, I'm gonna go out with him simply because he asked me to go to the library, or because he gave me compliments in alphabetical order, or because he gave me a flower, and he cleaned out my car. These are all nice things that guys have done, um, meeting me initially, to where they're doing all of this nice shit from the beginning, and then once we end up together, he turns out to be a complete asshole. And so I'm noticing this now, right? I'm seeing, oh, that whisper that I usually hear when I meet men like this time I'm going to listen. Because before I would not listen. So I take the flower, I drive off. He's talking about, instead of calling me at 10 o'clock when he gets off from where I don't know, because one minute he said he worked at the hotel, next minute he said he didn't work at the hotel, next minute he's saying he's going to be working at Burger King. Just I was like, whatever. He was like, you know what? I'm not going to call you at 10 p.m. I'm going to call you at 1 and just check up on you. I was like, something is going on with this dude. I wished him well and drove off. Now, my head hadn't stopped hurting. I was just trying to drive off to get away from this guy because I knew he was going to go on and on and on and on and on. Because he was trying to win me. He was trying to love bomb me. He was trying to get me. He wanted something from me, and I'm sitting in a parking lot with this nice vehicle. I'm beautiful. He kept saying, "You're so juicy and so clean, and you smell so good. You're so just, you know." And I was just like, he wants something, and he thinks I have it, so he's gonna try to get it from me. So anyway, my next, my first ride after that, because I got a ride request immediately after that. I pull up to this guy's house. Now the flower is in my hair. I put the flower in my hair, and I get up to this next guy, and he's dressed nice. He's a white guy. He has kind of like a mohawk. It was like blonde, and it had a mohawk, but he had it greased back, and it was kind of like bald on the sides. And so he gets in the car, and he's on the phone, and the first thing he says is, "I'm sorry, I'm on the phone." He's only going like 25 minutes away, and so he's on the phone, and he's talking about um, how this opportunity has been presented to him where he's going to go from having the little bit of money that he has, even though he's still wealthy, has the little bit of money that he has is suddenly going to turn into 3 million if he takes this opportunity. Um, and he'll also have two different properties. Okay, and but he's talking to a minister. All right, and they're talking about Jesus Christ and how the minister had told him that good opportunities and good things were going to come to him um, within a couple of weeks, and here it was happening for him. So he's basically saying to the minister, "What you said to me about my opportunities, um, they're coming true." Basically, what he was saying, and he's also talking about this woman that he used to date like years ago, who they now have an adult daughter. And he's just now meeting the adult daughter, and he does not know if he is genuinely her father or not. So he's saying, once I get on the date with the woman that he used to date, because she's bringing the daughter. And he's like, once I get on the date and I see the girl, I'm going to know whether she's my kid or not. Okay, I'm going to know instantly, you know. And he's telling the guy on the phone, I'm getting a daughter and millions and properties all at like one time like this, and it just seems like I finally have a shot, and he's just a really nice person. And so then I found out he was selling his car. But what happened was, we get like 5 minutes away from where I'm supposed to be taking him, and he realized he left his keys in the house. So I have to turn around and go all the way back, right? So he gets off the phone, and we start, talking, because we realize we're going to be in the car with each other for a while, because I got to turn around and go back, and then I got to turn around and go back. I got to turn around and take him home to go get his keys, and then I got to turn around and go back to his house. I mean, to where he's selling his car. And I don't know where he's selling his car. It's just telling me an address. I don't know. So we get to talking, and the first thing he says to me is, "I can only see the back of your head," because I hadn't turned around yet. He's like, "I can only see the back of your head, but I can tell you're a beautiful woman. That's number one. You're a beautiful person, and I got you're beautiful this weekend a lot." And I think what people are seeing is the peace. They're seeing me from the inside out. They're not seeing, just me physically here. They're seeing me from the inside out because I feel beautiful on the inside. I'm really feeling good here. And so he's like, "You're such a beautiful woman." And God, he said, God wanted you to be beautiful. And I can tell by, how you put yourself together that, you care about your appearance. And I just want you to know that you've been blessed with beauty for a reason. And so I said, beauty could be a curse. Because being beautiful over the years, right, has gotten me a lot of heartache with me meeting men who only want me because I'm attractive, or men only wanting me because they've seen pictures of me doing lingerie and they think I'm automatically over sexualized. Or, I've had men date me and they don't want to date a woman who is this attractive out of insecurities because they think another man is going to come along and steal this woman. I'm like, beauty is a curse. Beauty, like my outside appearance is blocking who I am on the inside. Not everybody's capable of seeing me from the inside. Who I am on the inside is way more beautiful, and I wish I could portray that more. And I spent most of my life trying to show people that person. And people have created this whole other version of who I am without my permission. And it's unfortunate to me because people are very selective about who they choose to believe is beautiful or nice or kind, or who they like, and who they dislike. And sometimes they end up liking the wrong people, or disliking the wrong people. And so I'm telling him this, and he was like, "Well, I don't know if you're dating, if you're single or what, but God has someone for you." And so I explained to him, I'm single, and how I ended up that way, and how me ending up that way is kind of God. My story with me and my son's father was a very spiritual one, and so I shared with him, how my son's father was my spiritual husband, and we were very close on a connection higher than some type of worldly sexual connection. And he just listened. Like, I've never had anyone just, when I say he listened, I mean he really listened to the point that his responses were like, uh, they had depth. They had depth, and they genuinely applied to what I was saying. Like, you ever had dialogue or rapport with someone and you could tell they're half listening? Most people don't listen to me when I'm speaking, even when I'm doing a live stream. And that's a major frustration with me. I've said it on live streams before, where I feel like when I'm speaking, people either don't understand what I'm trying to convey, or they literally aren't here to listen. And when I'm talking to like my moderators, they always say, you say so many profound things. It just seems like people are missing what you're saying because of other reasons. Maybe their perspective of you, or your past, or some hatred, or some rumors. We don't get to hear the food for thought that you have. So my moderators say this to me all the time, and people that do listen to me say this all of the time. But people who do listen to me are few and far in between, because people don't come to my YouTube channel um, to listen to me. I'm still trying to figure out at this point why people watch me, right? So the guy in the car is, talking to me, and he's like, um, listening. We have a rapport with each other. Could y'all give me a second? I'm about to move because the guy is blowing fucking grass and shit. Hold on. Let me walk. Hold on. Because I can't talk with this guy. I mean, what the hell? Like, I can't hear with this. Hold on. He's about to blow this, disturbing my peace. Hold on. Wait. Um, but yeah, so the guy is listening. He's hearing everything. He's responding well. And he says to me, finally, when we get to his destination, he has me parked behind this Aston Martin. And comes to find out, he is selling the Aston Martin. And he is a celebrity hairstylist. He owns about 6 salons in the Bay Area. And he uses his salons as Christian salons to spread the word of God in his hair salons. And he says to me that he uses his um, salon to just women, because usually when they come in there to get their hair done, they're open and honest about what they're experiencing in life, and 9 times out of 10 they need someone to talk to. And he said he could do all types of hair. I said, you could do black hair? Can you do black hair? I can do black hair. And I'm thinking, wow, then you must be special, because me trying to find a black hairstylist here in the Bay has been interesting. I mean, to do, uh, hold on, that's not working. To do like hair, natural black hair, it's difficult to find someone to do it. So he said he owned the salons, and the Aston Martin is what he was trying to sell, his Aston Martin. And he asked me what my nationality was, because by looking at me you can tell um I'm mixed with something. And I guess that's difficult to see if you don't see a lot of people. If you're the type of person where you're surrounded by diversity all the time, you're going to be able to look at any person and be like, yo, you can't be one solid race of person. And I said, well, I'm always going to identify as African American anyway. That doesn't matter. But I'm definitely a mixed race person. He was like, I can tell by the grade of your hair, I can tell by your skin. You just look like a mixed race person. So we started talking about race and how, everyone is so diverse here in this place. And he ended up leaving, and his presence was felt. And I remember speaking in my last live stream where I was talking about how I had closed off my spirit because of the pain that I experienced in my last relationship. I had to shut off my who I was spiritually in order to heal. Because when you are a spiritual person, you can pick up on other people's spirituality and other people's energy, and sometimes you can end up, feeling something they feel, and it's not necessarily the best feeling in the world. And that was the biggest problem I was having. I was picking up on other people's energies. I could feel everything. I was just too wide open, and so I had to close myself off in order to heal. You got to go in a cocoon sometimes to transform and to transition. And so what I want to touch on with this, and those of you that have been sitting in the live stream, this is what you kind of been waiting for me to say, how I ended up meeting God. So I said to him as we were talking, this guy, his name was Troy, by the way. I said to him, I feel like I experienced what I experienced with my son, and being homeless and sleeping in the street, pregnant, sleeping in the domestic violence shelter, pregnant, sleeping in hotels, people making fun of me on YouTube, um, people being judgmental, my son's father betraying me the way that he did instead of protecting me, um, the lies that are told about me, the perception of me that isn't me, um, how cruel people believe they have room to be on social media. All of these things over the past couple of years has changed me to the point that now when I look at my life, right now when I look out into the world in general, I see life how God sees, where everything is beautiful. Something as simple as a sign could be beautiful to me, or grass or a tree. Everything is like beautiful to me. Everything. And I know it's kind of like my higher power using my body as a way to experience this. And I think that God does that with all of us. And you'll know when God is taking over your current experience when you look at it and it's so crystal clear. And it's so like everything is so beautiful, and you see things very different. It's almost like you had like this epiphany. You've awakened from something. You've you've been asleep and like this zombie all of this time, and suddenly you are awake and you see, feel everything, but it's clear. It's not a blur, it's not overwhelming, it's no chaos, it's no drama, it's nothing. It's nothing negative. And that's how I feel when I wake up in the morning and I look around me. I don't it's like I'm so at peace. I feel a level of peace that only dealing with other people takes from me. And I knew my whole life I always didn't fit in, and I was always misunderstood, and people always perceived me negatively. And I meet God every day. Every day I get up and I look in the mirror and I see God right there. Because that extension of God that I always say that we are gets stronger and stronger and stronger with age. If you open yourself to it and you receive that, you have to receive that. And I feel like the lessons that I learned and the people that I dealt with that pushed me into a certain direction were just putting me on a path to get closer to God. And when I meet people, right, and we have like this interaction with each other where we're talking about religion, or we're talking about spirituality, or we're talking about experiences that we had in our own lives, where people sometimes give me advice or I give them advice. Every time I get in the car, someone's talking about positivity or affirmations. Anytime I run into another human being, it's always about the law of attraction and God. And every time, it's like I don't meet negative people anymore. Like, not even a little bit. They don't even, it's like they're not even in on my vibration. And I'm such a butthole when it comes to frequency right now. To if someone even makes me feel a little bit off, I cut them off altogether. I cut them off altogether. And even if they've known me for years, if they make me feel a little negative, I cut them off. So when we talk about me meeting God, right? It isn't I met God in a physical form outside of myself where God got in my car. God is everything around me every day. God is everything around you every day. And you'll be reminded of that when you meet people. Like I met this Troy person who just adored the flower in my hair. And he just kept saying the flower in your hair, the flower in your hair. And you're reminded that God is all around you when you meet people like the guy who even gave me the flower. And of course, this Quentin person didn't call. And Troy, like I said, is a celebrity hairstylist. He owns a whole bunch of Christian salons around the Bay Area. Um, my experiences with them and every other experience I have that's similar, it reminds me of God every time. And I've been seeing God over and over and over and over and over and over and over until it really occurred to me that it isn't someone else that's God, or it isn't God isn't outside of me. God is always around. So I don't have like I'm viewing my life the way God has seen it, to where I'm not judgmental of myself. I'm not insecure with myself. I'm not stressed. I'm at peace. And the only time it gets knocked off course is when I stop focusing on the happiness and on the relationship that I have with God, and I start worrying about somebody else and something that they're doing with their life and things I can't even freaking control, or people I can't even freaking control. And so it's not what you think when you think about God and you think about this being who is separate from you. Um, this being that sits in this throne in the sky and just points down at you and um, punishes you when you do something wrong and gives you good things when you pray to him. That's not God at all. And the way that I feel after all of that turmoil, I am living in freaking paradise. You guys do not even understand the level of joy that I feel after all of that stuff that I've been through, and I feel like I wouldn't change an ounce of it. And the reason why is because in order to even feel this level of paradise and happiness, I'm believing that you might have to experience the stuff that I did in order to appreciate. A lot of people may not be comfortable with what I'm saying. Most people never feel comfortable with what I'm saying because they want me to feel how they feel or believe what they believe. Um, and I just can't. It's just not how my life is going. And God is in all of our lives, and I know sometimes we can't see him or it um, because there's this cloudy, like murky substance that's stopping us from experiencing God and half of God's divinity. It could be difficult because we're looking at everyday life, everyday practical stuff, everyday things that we have to deal with. Our partners, our kids, our jobs, our bills, our cars, all types of stuff, our homes. And sometimes it feels like you're living in duality to where you designate God to Sundays at church and Wednesday Bible study, or when you have choir rehearsal, or whenever you're going through something terrible, you pray, or the only time you talk to God is when something's wrong, or maybe the only time you talk to God is when you're surprised or something. Um, my daughter just texted me, and I could see her texts on the screen. And she asked me, she said, I have a question. And it said, is death a new beginning? She just texted me that, just right now. And to me, death is like this unknown phenomenon. And I was talking about suicide earlier, so this will be me being able to circle back to that. Let's rewind. So I felt like when I did feel like committing suicide, right? I felt this twice within the past couple of years, the past 3 years. The first time was in 2016. I was going through a lot, dealing with a lot of other people in my regular life. Something very tragic happened to someone in my real life, and it affected my life as well. So I was already stressed about that. And then some things were happening on YouTube where it was stressing me out so bad that the thought of suicide was just, it seemed like the answer to what was going on. Um, because I felt like I was trapped. You understand? Like I felt like my body was trapping me and not allowing me to be who I wanted to be, when really it wasn't my body that was trapping me. It was me being oversensitive about other people's perspective of who I was, and the frustration from me showing people who I am, and they're still, them still having their own like definition of who I was bothering me, because it was always an inaccurate perspective, or a negative perspective. And so it would frustrate me because I was not showing people that. I was showing people who I was and how kind I am, how sweet I am, how intellectual I am, and still people would portray me, or have this perception of me as if I was this villain or this monster, right? And I cared so much about that at the time that I just was really like upset that so many people felt like this negative way about me. Because see, here's the thing: you have to understand the concept of a celebrity or popularity. Everybody wants it, right? You think that everyone knowing you and everyone liking you or whatever, it's going to be like this amazing thing. But then you realize once you become popular, there has to be some type of balance in the universe where for every single person that likes you, there's going to be people that dislike you. And there's going to be nothing that you can do to get them to like you. And so, as I'm discovering this with time, it became easy for me to not feel so trapped in my body. Because I was never trapped in my body. My vessel is not a trap. So suicide was making me feel like I was like this angel who had wings and I wanted to fly, but my body had me trapped in this cage. And so to me, suicide was the way to get out of the cage. And that doesn't make any sense to me now, because now I understand that it wasn't me that was the cage. It wasn't my vessel that was keeping me in the cage. It was more of me perceiving how other people perceived me as some type of measuring tool to determine whether I was actually being me or not. And that's like a weird way to think of things. Like I am being me and sitting here getting frustrated because people aren't allowing me to be me, when really they are. They're just perceiving me incorrectly, and that's them, not me. It's not me failing myself to where I'm not being me. You understand? I was being me. They weren't stopping me or disallowing me from being me. They were just having difficult time with their own selves and how they perceive me. And there's nothing that I can do about that. You got to let go of the things that you can't control. You can't control other people, and you can't control how they think. And so, anyway, that was the first time I thought about suicide. The second time I thought about suicide is when I got pregnant with my son, because I had been um, bullied so much, and people were telling me to kill myself and my son. People were going around spreading this rumor that I was going to kill my son's father and then kill myself. It was just a really bad time. And plus, with me having as many miscarriages and abortions that I had had in the past, um, the psychological damage that comes with that is suicide, is the thought of suicide. You have this is what happens. And so as I'm going through counseling, I realize that most women who do have abortions or miscarriages, when they do get pregnant again, for some reason they have suicidal tendencies or thoughts. And so wasn't aware of this until I started going to counseling. And so I realized that, oh, this is something natural. This doesn't mean that I have to do this. There's another way. And so someone helped me get out of the thought of suicide. So anyway, as we're talking about that, and my daughter's asking me, is death a new beginning? To me, I don't think it's a new beginning. I think it's a graduation to something else. And I don't think that um, ending your time here earlier than scheduled is like a proper graduation. I think when you leave Earth naturally, um, and you take advantage of all of the opportunities that you have here to have a happy life or a healthy life, you learn lessons, and those lessons that you learn here, you take to the next level. And whether the next level is heaven or hell or the veil or whatever, I don't know. Um, but I can tell you that God is around when you're alive, and God will still be there once you turn into pure energy. Because, like I said, for me, I can tell that I have a mind, I have a soul, and then I have a vessel. And then I have something that's a higher power that's observed this mind, this soul, and this vessel, and we're connected in some kind of way. And I feel that. That's what I feel every day while I'm walking around. I don't know what you guys feel, but that's definitely how I feel life is going over here. And so, um, when I do die, I'm just getting rid of my vessel, not, my mind or my soul. I think those are something that goes with me. I think energy is transformed and transferred. It's never depleted. So when someone passes away, their energy isn't gone. That energy had to come from somewhere. Think about it. We're all energy at the end of the day. I mean, energy is inside of atoms. We're all made of atoms, and it's energy inside of that. And I think we just transfer into something else, and in a better place. Because if you notice with life, usually you start to get a better understanding, or you it tend to improve as you get older. It's because that's what life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be an improvement as you go. You think your thought processes are a lot better. So when you pass away, I don't think that it's over. I think you just transition into another level of being, and you can no longer perceive this dimension or this reality. You are in a completely different place. So this is foreign to you. This is old to you. It's like how you think about elementary school. You can't go back there. I mean, you might be able to go back there physically, but you can't literally be in that same body and go back and have those same experiences that you had then, because you are in a completely different place. You don't even perceive reality the same. So that's how I feel in regards to when you die. So it's not a new beginning. It's more of a level of you graduate to completely different thing, and I don't know what that thing is. And even when we're alive and we're going to that next phase of life, sometimes we could be afraid because we don't know. Like, a lot of people are just afraid of the unknown. A lot of people are afraid of what they don't understand, or they don't like what they don't understand. When they misunderstand something, they tend to dislike it or not be interested. And so that is how I feel about that. But that source, that higher power, God, is definitely in my life all of the time. And I think um, God is in me and with me more now than he was when I was going through what I was going through. I think um, he was trying, or it was trying to dig me out of whatever I was going through that was damaging our connection. And that growth process was painful, but it cleared out a path for me to see my source clearer and to utilize my source a lot clearer and better than I was using it before. Contrast creates new desires, and being able to implement whatever tools you have, or utilize whatever tools you have to implement or to receive those desires or manifest those desires, um, the ability to do that is what was destroying me. The not having the ability to do that, I think my source was giving me the tools and teaching me how to use those tools. That's what I think was happening to me. And now that I'm in a better place, I feel a lot better, and I feel more closer to God. So I know that was kind of boring to you guys. My bad. But I wanted to share that. I want to share that. Um, yeah, so thanks to everybody that was in the chat. Miss, thank you for being here. Um, I appreciate that. Dominique was in here. I hope you heard my answer to your question. I'll text it to you when I get off. Mark, I love you. I see you. Um, Truth Teller, what's up? Maurice Doak, 1010, Takaya. This is my shout out time. Laney, what's up? That's the dude. That's your name. That's the dude. Alpha 200, what's poppin'? Let's see who else. Mood Music, what's up? Nunya Biz. Why y'all got these weird names? Anna Johnson, what's up? OG Bootsy, Lou Tom. Uh, those that don't believe in God, God is what you make it. God is definitely what you make it. Uh, Mr. Live, I know you don't think I'm boring because you think I'm a pretty decent person. You guys can't see me because of this lighting or whatever. I'm sorry. That's God shining through. That's God shining through. Oh, I'm trying to get the glare off. That's all I can do. That's the best I can do. You can't really see me now, but that's the only way I can get the glare off. You can just look at my mouth. That's all you can do. So anyway, um, I might be moving my live streams. I don't know. The way that YouTube is right now is so frustrating. Um, my live stream being about God may have made it eligible for monetization. But then I started talking about suicide and death, so they might not give me my monetization. My videos are monetized. My videos, my regular edited videos, they're even having a difficult time being monetized. Um, there are some creators like Tanya TKO who was just kicked off the YouTube program because she was supposedly posting sexuality and pornographic stuff. Um, she did a video about magnums, and she was I guess I'm assuming it was an educational video about condoms, and they kicked her out of the program altogether because of it. Right now most content creators are having a difficult time understanding what we're supposed to be posting because every single thing right now advertisers are feeling some type of way about. I mean, like I said before, I'm trying to get rid of my profanity. Like, profanity is a problem. They will demonetize live streams if you do too much profanity. Um, it's a number of things. They're just, I mean, it's hard to get monetization now on YouTube. I just signed with a new management company that's in the UK, so they're doing all of my marketing and PR anyway. They're giving me more advertising dollars, more cents off the dollars that you make every time, clicks per click. So I'm making more money with my channel because I'm teaming up with also getting more product sponsors and placement. So that's helping me. That's why I have to really clean up my act on YouTube. So if I get a little boring for you guys, I do apologize. I'm going to try to keep it as entertaining as possible, but I'm back on top of my grind like I was a couple of years ago because I have a better team and a better situation around me. So um, I feel great with life. Everything is good. Everything is going smoothly. If you don't see me on YouTube, like if you stop watching, I have so many things that I'm going to do outside of YouTube as well. I'm going to try to link up with Netflix, and I'm going to try to just do a couple more things outside of YouTube and uh, be a little bit more entertaining and positive, because really at the end of the day what my heart's desire is to bring positivity to each platform I'm on, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And of course, I want to just make you guys laugh and teach you. But I definitely won't be talking about race. I won't be talking about that as much, if at all. I might vlog, Justice and Domo. When Domo gets here, Domo comes here to move um, 4th of July. So, I might put Domo on my channel some more if she wants to come on. And finally, I'll have Buttons back. I don't know if you guys remember Buttons. You guys remember my dog, Buttons, my Yorkie? He'll be here, so he'll be back in my videos like he was before. um, um, the man in my life, he'll probably be on my channel more if I do that. My mom will be on. We just living good over here. We living good. So anyway, I gotta go, y'all. I'm gonna go live my life for today. I'll see y'all around. Have vision and stay focused, y'all. Namaste.